I am one with my glorious I Am presence and Holy Christ Self, my personalities, body elemental, and new spirit. All parts of my being are in balance, harmony, and alignment. And I am fully contained within my heart diamond and Metatron's cosmic egg. I am now ready for today's message. Greetings, beloveds. I come to you joyfully as always, for joy is my true nature, just as it is yours. And soon you will remember that, and then feel that in the totality of your being, as being your greatest truth. I know that Christmas has some questions for me today, so I will allow her to ask them now. These questions are from one of our viewers in relation to what was discussed on the last video, which I believe was number 324. Does this mean that we need to reach a certain state of awareness before we can trust our higher self-guidance, the ego mind versus the higher mind? Yes, beloved, in some ways it does mean exactly that. It is a process that you will go through of learning to distinguish between the ego mind and the higher mind, because it is not always evident. And there are always forces around you that wish to deceive you. And so I have asked that when you connect with your higher mind, ask your ego mind to step aside during the time that you are trying to receive an answer from your higher mind. And then, while you are receiving the transmission, try not to have any emotional reactions. Try to listen just as if you were listening to a movie or something on the television, where you cannot in any way influence the script that has already been written. Many of you, when you try to get messages, as soon as you have an emotional reaction of like or dislike about the message, you try in some subtle ways to change it. You might ask the question again, hoping to get a different answer. But it takes practice and spiritual development in order to be connected with the observer part of you, which is the part that can receive a clear and perfect message. It also takes great practice to ignore the ego mind. In the beginning, the ego will always have its reaction, and this is normal, beloveds. But it takes practice to not allow that reaction to influence what you are receiving. That's why it's always good to write it down as you receive it, or record your voice on some type of recording instrument, so that you can allow the information to flow through you without affecting it in any way whatsoever. Then, when the transmission is completed, invite your ego back and together look at the information and decide whether you are going to follow it or not, whether it rings true within you. If the message causes fear, normally that is a sign that it is not coming from the highest part of yourself. If it causes anxiety or anxiousness because you are worried about putting it into place, then you must be able to distinguish that anxiety as coming purely from your ego mind, and you can make the choice at that time not to cave in to the fears and demands of the ego. I will continue the question. I thought our feelings were supposed to be our internal guidance system. This can be so confusing at times. I thought that things, people, and activities were supposed to bring us joy, and that if you are having an opposite experience, then you have the right to choose otherwise and need to take proactive steps to change the situation so balance can be restored. Well, beloved, this is indeed a complicated situation. And please remember that I speak to many different levels of spiritual enlightenment through these videos. And so some will apply to you and others will not. However, what I wish to say about this is that what you have spoken of refers to a level below that of an awakened, spiritually enlightening person. For the feelings to which you refer, if I understand you correctly, are the feelings generated by the ego mind. Only the feelings of the ego mind are dependent upon, as you say, the things, people, and activities surrounding you. The joy of which I speak is not dependent upon any of those. And so you can experience true divine joy even during activities or among people and things that irritate you. This is the attainment that you should all be working towards. Going beyond the conditional happiness that results from the outer world. Of course, you are always free to leave those situations or to make any changes that you desire. But remember that that you that is leaving and making the changes is the ego personality who doesn't like what is going on. When you go into a situation as your divine self, you are then free of desires as to how you want the situation to be. You can perceive everything that is going on around you. And yes, beloveds, this even applies to a state of war, or riots, or cataclysms, where there is very, very strong negativity taking place. When you are in full connection with your I Am presence, you can see and even be in that situation and yet be in a place of perfect calm, peace, and even joy as you perceive the unfoldment of the divine plan upon this planet. From that perspective, the rational mind no longer needs to understand, for that too is a need and desire of the ego mind. The divine self is truly, my beloveds, the blissful observer. Perceiving everything in all of creation as being beautiful, perfect, and divine. So this is the type of vision and perspective I hope you will work towards. One way to do that is once again by discriminating between the ego mind and the higher divine mind. When the ego mind starts shouting its judgmental phrases, this is good and this is bad and this is awful, and I don't like this and I don't like that, simply turn it off or ignore it, and then replace it by a perspective that reminds you of the divine perspective. You might say something like, and this too is perfect. This too is part of God's plan. Or you might say something to the effect of, regardless of what is happening out there, I am perfect, divine, and whole in all aspects of my being. And repeat that phrase or a similar one until you feel peaceful within you. In general, for most of you, peace precedes joy. By that I mean, when you are in a stressful or negative situation of any kind, it is hard to jump directly into a feeling of joy. So first try for peace, for calm. That is like the midway station between chaos and divine joy. So do whatever you need to do to find and connect with the peace within you. The peace that your divine self always is. And once you've attained that peace, then begin to focus on joy. And maintain that focus until you feel the joy within you. As I often tell Christmas and her husband, it is much easier to experience these states of peace and joy in your meditations when you are not involved in the world and when you are not engaged in any kind of stressful or negative situation or activity. So take these times of meditation to practice your ability to be peace, to be joy, and above all, to be love. Practice feeling love, peace, and joy at any time throughout your day that you possibly can, in addition to your meditations. As you maintain these states within you for longer and longer periods of time, it will affect every cell in your being. Every part of you will become more enlightened. You will become more divine daily as you do this. For the holy living light is one with divine peace, love, and joy. They cannot be separated. And as you feel them, they will influence and have an effect on every part of your being. I truly encourage you to do this as much as you possibly can, beloveds. And I hope that this has answered your question and clarified the information that I am giving to you. I love you and bless you always, and I thank you for listening to these videos. I am Metatron.